Welcome everyone to Truro Town Council's meeting for Monday, January the 12th, 2026. Before we begin our agenda today, I, Kathy J. Henton, Mayor for the Town of Truro, acknowledge we are on Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. We acknowledge the peace and friendship treaties and recognize we are all treaty people. We recognize African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched this part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. We recognize the Acadians who lived in harmony with the Mi'kmaq, whose communities across the province are a living testament to the fortitude of their ancestors who survived the Grand Arrangement. Today, as both Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, we commit to seek harmonious and mutually beneficial relationships. We give thanks to the elders and knowledge keepers. Tonight, we'll be having a public hearing for 373 Roby Street here in Council Chambers at 6 p.m. And you may notice today we are all wearing our Forget-Me-Not pins. This is in recognition of January being Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and so we totally support our awareness of that dreadful disease, which many of us know all too well. We will now proceed to our public agenda for today. This is a public council meeting for the Town of Truro for Monday, January 12th, our first meeting of the new year. And welcome to everyone in chamber today, those watching us on Eastlink and online. Mr. Dalter. Welcome to our first meeting of the new year.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And are there any changes, omissions, or deletions to the agenda?
No, Madam.
Seeing no changes to the agenda for January 12th, 2026 is approved. Moving on to item 2A.
Mayor?
Oh, Councillor?
Thank you very much for mentioning that the hearing for 373 Roby Street will be this evening. That's helpful, but could you, just for the viewing public, let us know why we still see it here on our agenda and the process that we'll be following to
So we still have to have it here on the agenda, so we can eventually officially move it forward to tonight, and that's how it's going to go. And then we will adjourn the meeting, and then we will reconvene the meeting at 6 o'clock.
Thank you. I just thought it would be helpful for the
great.
public to know.
Thank you, Councillor. Moving on to item 2A on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from December 1st, 2025. The minutes were circulated. Council, if there is any changes, is there no changes? Okay. No changes identified. Seeing no changes, the minutes are approved for December 1st, 2025. Item 2B is the special public meeting minutes from December 11th, 2025. Have we identified any changes or to those minutes? Seeing none, then those minutes are approved for December 11th, 2025 for our special public meeting. We're moving on. Item number 3, petitions, delegations, and correspondence. Mr. Dolter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, we did receive correspondence, bring council attention from the Community Housing Management Network. It was addressed to Andrea Curry, the Manager of Finance for Corporate Services, and the reason it was brought to council's attention, simply requesting, asking the town to consider Hubtown Housing Cooperatives history within the town, providing, as a nonprofit, providing affordable units, and just looking at council to consider options for controlling the overall property tax bill for some of the nonprofits that are offering below market or at market rates. Again, this is an issue that I know council is considering. So again, they just asked for that consideration in further future deliberations of council.
Thank you very much. Okay. Under item 4, under old business, item 4A is a request for decision for the amended municipal grant policy. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So as part of the strategic plan, a review of the Town of Truro's municipal grant policy was completed. This review resulted in changes to the municipal grant policy. The changes include clear eligibility requirements and criteria, clearly defined ineligible activities, and funding parameters. Council was provided with a draft copy of the proposed changes to municipal grant policy via email, and they were reviewed during a meeting on December 16, 2025. So the proposed motion, Madam Mayor, is be it resolved that Council approves the municipal grant policy as amended and as presented to Council.
Thank you. I'm looking for a mover. Councillor McGrath, seconder. Councillor Talbot. Discussion, Council. Seeing no discussion? Okay, Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to say for this item and the following grant policy items, I do believe this aligns with the direction that council provided when we discussed this late last year, and that I will be supporting all of these motions.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none? All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, motion is carried. Thank you, Council. Item 4B, request for decision, municipal standing grant policy. Mr. Dalter, if you please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So as part of the strategic plan, a review of the Town of Truro's municipal grant policy was completed. Not only did the review result in changes to the current municipal grant policy, but also initiated the creation of an additional policy called the Municipal Standing Grant Policy. The purpose of this policy is to provide a longer-term financial support, more than 1 year, to organizations that have historically received property tax relief due to their status as nonprofit organizations in Truro. These organizations would be required to meet the criteria and parameters set out in the policy to continue to be designated within the policy itself. This policy only applies to those organizations and properties that are specifically designated in the policy. Council was provided a draft copy of the proposed municipal standing grant policy via email on December 16, 2025. And again, there was further discussed in a meeting. So, Madam Mayor, the proposed motion is be it resolved the council approves the municipal standing grant policy as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Dalter. I'm looking for a mover. Councillor McGrath, seconder, Councillor Fleming. Any discussion on this motion? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I think it's important, and it was strongly indicated by Councillor McGrath that, you know, these considerations, these motions, these last two motions, including this one here, you know, the council considered this in a closed meeting in which we discussed grants, et cetera, and had a thorough discussion about it. So just want people to know these motions that come up, you know, they're just not sort of motions put forward by the town that we then approve. There was a lot of discussion that went into these in consideration in regards to grants, so.
Yeah, and further to that as well, Madam Mayor, as these are approved, they'll also be posted on the town's website for people to review. And again, and in this particular one, as indicated, the organizations that are that it applies to are listed within the policy. So again, that's all fully disclosed to the public for their information.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy. Thank you, Mr. Dalter, for the clarification. Is there any further discussion on the motion that Mr. Dalter proposed? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, motion is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on, item 4C, request for decision for an amended low-income tax exemption policy. Mr. Dalton.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think given times we're in, this is probably an important policy change. So with the review of the municipal grant policy taking place and with questions arising related to low-income tax exemption policy, it seemed timely to review this policy as well. Staff gathered information from other municipal units in Nova Scotia related to low-income tax exemption policies for comparison. After discussion and review, the most significant proposed change to the policy is an increase in the exemption amount to $350 from the current $258. Council was provided a draft copy of the proposed changes to the low-income tax exemption policy via email on December 16, 2025. And again, and there was a meeting, as the Deputy Mayor indicated, to discuss some of these changes with Council to make sure that they were consistent with the direction Council wanted to go in. So the proposed motion, be it resolved that Council approves the proposed changes to the low-income tax exemption policy.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. You're making the motion. Councillor Graham, seconder. Councillor McGrath. Any discussion on the motion? Councillor Graham?
Through the Mayor to our Director of Finance, could you give us a brief overview of how the low-income tax exemption works for our citizens, who can apply, and what we expect the anticipated cost to the town will be to increase the tax exemption amount?
Sure. I'll start with the last question first. The increase, in the last few years, we haven't been fully meeting budgets, so the increase is anticipated to cost, or get us up to the budgeted amount of about $25,000, I believe, for the town. And if I don't have it directly in front of me right here, but I believe any household income less than $32,000 approximately, and this information is on the website, you can apply for a tax exemption, and you'd get next year would be $350 back on your taxes. So, and every year, that amount is increased by the Nova Scotia CPI, all items, inflation.
Why? Is there a form? Is there, how do people go about doing that?
I believe the form is on the website as well.
Okay, and I believe, if I recall, if you've been in receipt of the tax exemption in previous years, it's included in the form is included in your tax bill?
I think in the last water bill, I think.
the
it
water
comes out.
bill.
Oh, the water
Comes out the
bill.
water
I
bill,
believe
yep.
so.
Okay, so people should watch for that.
Yes.
Around what time of year?
I know they're due at the end of November, so the cutoff is the end of November, so
Okay.
it would be in the last water bill prior to that.
Thank you. So regardless, people
Yeah.
can go online
And
and,
if anyone has any questions, they can reach out for sure.
great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Russell. I see no more questions. Council, you've heard the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Item 4D, request for decision, rec governance. Mr. Dolter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me, I need to take a drink of water before I do this one. So, the rec has been operated by the Central Nova Scotia Civic Centre Society under the terms of an operating agreement between the municipality and the County of Colchester, the town, and the society. Given the notice from the municipality to terminate the operating agreement and the current issues with governance of the society, the town and the municipality need to decide on how to operate and govern the rec in the immediate and long term. As decided during the special meeting of the council on December 11th, 2025, council voted that for the short and medium term to have the society operate the rec and to conduct public engagement to determine what residents felt was the optimum governance structure for the society. Based on the results of the survey and other inputs submitted through other means, the proposed structure from the special meeting, in which all society directors were members of the town council or municipal councils, is not supported by the majority of respondents. The data from the survey was provided to council prior to the meeting for its review. With the information from the engagement process, council needs to make several key decisions on governance of the rec in the immediate and longer term. So, Madam Mayor, really from the information that we received through the survey, obviously that generated some of the information I'm about to provide, but also, so basically the actions that we see right now are both in the immediate term, which has to happen because of deadlines that are in place, and then we look at the medium and longer term actions that are being suggested. So first I'll just talk about the immediate actions. First item is with the recent resignation of the board chair, the rec board consists of 4 members, 2 from each council, along with the CAOs who are non-voting. For the short term, an interim board must be in place to ensure continuity of operations. To expedite the situation, as outlined at the December 11th meeting, an interim board consisting of 6 council members could be put in place, 3 from each municipality. The next item, for the society to function, a new operating agreement must be in place prior to the expiration of the current agreement on January 31st. The operating agreement provides the operating mandate for the society from the town and county. Without it, the society has no authority. So those are the 2 immediate actions that we need to make decisions on today. Then for the medium and longer term actions, in conjunction with the county, a joint council citizen committee should be struck to discuss and develop a governance structure an operational agreement that ensures long-term viability that meets the needs of our residents and the municipalities. And next, followed from that, negotiation and arrangements with the province would need to take place to allow the continuation of events on the NSP site. And this is something that would be the responsibility of the interim board. And then finally, amendment and approval of the society's bylaws through the interim board, and a new operating agreement to be put in place to support a new negotiated governance structure. So this would be in the longer term with the Citizens Committee once we had established a new governance structure. And as with so many issues that affect the rec, these recommended actions are subject to the County of Colchester being prepared to follow the same course of action. The same way if they had voted on anything, we would have to agree as well. So from that, Madam Mayor, and following from that, the proposed motions.
Before you go any further, Mr. Dolter, just because I want some clarification, because there has been a lot of misinformation out there. I received an email last night. Can you just describe, if we pause this now, for people that are concerned and don't understand, if we pause this now, what does that mean for the employees of the rec?
The issue with pausing this is the deadline for the cessation of the operating agreement is cast in stone, basically, based on the decision of the county that they made. So without an operating agreement in place, the operating agreement was allowed to expire as it would. Then no matter what the makeup of the Rec Society Board or the Rec Board, that board would not have any mandate to operate or have any actions within the rec. And basically, from there, that would require the wind up, not necessarily the wind up of the society, but the operating agreement would not be in place. Therefore, the relationship that the society and the employees that work at the rec, who are employees of the society, they would no longer have a relationship directly tied to the rec through the operating agreement. So in fact, we would end up in a situation that, at least to put things in place, the employees would have to be laid off, and they'd have to be hired by whatever took place of the society in the operation of the rec, which, based on the way the operating agreement is written, it would be the town and county jointly in some other type of organization, be that a municipal corporation or that, but again, the society just wouldn't have the authority to operate. Again, it would cause a huge amount of turmoil from the employees, from contracts, from all the other relationships that have been developed through the time period the society has operated the rec. So the pause just it would put us in a very difficult position legally and with the overall operation of the rec itself. So again, we do have to have something in place prior to the expiration of the operating agreement in order for the society, which will be, for the time being, the 6-person board, in order to allow them to continue operations, continue to book events, and continue normal operations at the rec itself.
And this council did support citizen engagement on the board. That was what we were looking at. But these things take a little time because this is the end of the month we're talking about. So this is what I'm concerned about as well. And, when I read comments that the mayor, they're not speaking up, that's not the case. I've always, and my track record will prove it, always been about citizen engagement. And I like the voices from the community. When I was a councillor, always did a monthly update. Mayor's message, public meetings, every year, that I'm all about it. But it takes time, and there's been a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you continue.
Yeah, the one thing, Madam Mayor, that the point that needs to be made is we didn't create this deadline, and I think I've said this in previous meetings, but we have to take actions consistent with this deadline, as it is a reality that we have to deal with. So what we're doing is we're doing what makes sense in the short term, and then again proposing some longer term actions as well. So again, I'll go through the proposed motions, and what I will present each of these.
Question now too?
What's that?
Well, we've kind of gone off script.
Well, I'm not following a script.
No, I mean, as far as our usual process, sorry.
Well, I want a clarification, Counselor, and I expect to get it, so. that's-
So
Well, I require
Yeah,
some
just a moment, please. Let him finish.
we should, I guess it depends on what your question is, because we should really have the motions on the floor before we start discussing anything. And I do recognize that there's comments been made, but again, yeah, so, yeah, it's up to the chair to, she would prefer that the motions be on the floor?
I want to
Okay.
continue.
So again, Madam Mayor, what I'll do is I'll introduce each of these individually, and I think the best thing to do is to vote on them individually, if that makes sense, and there's actually four motions there. So the first proposed motion is, be it resolved that council approve an interim board until a new structure is agreed upon, based on the recommendations from the 11th December 2025 meeting, special meeting of council. So that is, the first is, again, just as a reminder of what was in that package, continue to have the society manage and operate the rec. Second is to have 6 directors on the society, all of whom are members of council, 3 from the town, 3 from the municipality. And then thirdly, amend the management structure to have regular board meetings as well as support, reporting between board meetings among a management team consisting of the 2 owner CAOs, the general manager and the general manager of the rec. This would also promote greater collaboration and cohesiveness in the management of the rec itself. So again, that's the first item, and again, I stress this is a interim board, and again, the other motions will inform further actions.
So do you want to have that motion voted on now, and then we can open it up to discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to read it again?
Okay. So be it resolved, the council approve an interim board until a new structure is agreed upon. Based on the recommendations from the 11 December 2025 special council meeting. And those items include A, continue to have the society manage and operate the rec. B, to have six directors on the society's board, all of whom are members of council, 3 from town, 3 from the municipality. And then C, amend the management structure to have regular board meetings as well as reporting between board meetings among a management team consisting of the two owner CAOs and the general manager of the rec. This would promote greater collaboration and cohesiveness of the management of the rec.
Okay, so before we discussion, I need a mover, please. Councillor Talbot, a seconder. Councillor Deputy Mayor. Okay, all right, discussion, and Councillor Graham, you're up first.
Through the mayor to our solicitor, we've been receiving all kinds of information from various sources. All council members, and I believe our CAO, although not certain, has received a letter from 2 previous board members who I'd like to note that we did appoint at to be on the second board that was in place. And in that letter, again, my question is for the solicitor. I was hoping you could confirm whether or not the information that I'll read in the letter is accurate and pertinent to our discussion. So it says, compounding the struggle is the motion by Colchester County, and indeed ourselves at Truro, on December 11th, as summarized below, is invalid on a couple of points. The society bylaws only allow for 2 elected officials to participate on the board from each council. An amendment of the society bylaws would have to occur prior to the appointment of 3 council members to the board. Secondly, the society is its own entity. Motions to amend the bylaws of the society would be made at the society by society board members. Motions of council to direct the actions of an independent society have no teeth. And I was wondering if you could confirm the accuracy of that information.
So that is, I'd say, mostly accurate.
Okay.
In that if this motion gets approved here, then the next step would be an amendment to the society's bylaws that would have to be made by the members of the society itself, which are the current directors, plus representatives from the town and the county. They would amend the bylaws to provide for 3 representatives from each council, for a total of 6 on the board of directors. Once those bylaws are amended, then the appointments of the municipal directors can be made. That information that you read is accurate, but it fits within the direction I think that this motion would provide, in that its direction to the existing members of the board of directors, who currently consist of 2 elected officials from the county and 2 from the town, having a special meeting to approve the changes to the bylaws that would allow these changes to go forward. Does that make sense?
Well, sort of. I have 2 follow-up questions. The first being, are we not putting the cart before the horse in this situation? I don't understand how council can direct the society to do something, because according to what I've read, it sort of, to me, seems like it's not permissible to direct the society to do something.
Well, the fact is that at the moment, the individuals sitting on the board of directors are, as I said, 2 representatives from the town, 2 representatives from the county. So if the councils say this is the direction we want to go, then I suppose the council is counting on its representatives on the board of directors to follow through and make those amendments to the bylaws. Perhaps in an ideal world, it wouldn't work this way, but in 3 weeks, the operating agreement expires, and if steps aren't taken quickly between now and then there will be nobody to operate the rec, period. I've been involved in putting the steps together that sort of form this plan, and to me, they are permissible and they make sense, assuming that it's the direction council wants to go.
Okay. But we still do have 19 days. So if a decision is not made, or 18 days, I don't know how we begin to count that for certain, we still do have 18 or 19 days to get this figured out.
I would not agree with that.
No?
A lot of stuff has to happen in the next 18 days. Assuming that council makes this motion that's on the table right now, and that the county council maintains its plans, then there has to be a special meeting of the directors to change the bylaws. And then the new directors have to be appointed to the board of directors. Then a new operating agreement needs to be approved by both councils and the board of directors and signed by the end of the month. So from my perspective, knowing what needs to be done and what will be involved by me and others, there is not very much time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Talbot, please.
Yes, first of all, I want to say, I've read all the documentation pertaining to this particular issue, including the documentation that was sent in by Citizens Rep. Ideally, I don't think the best solution is to have all councilors, but I feel, given the situation and understanding the ramifications of not putting something in interim would cause more problems. So simply, if we elect to delay, we're not solving anything. We're putting a new problem in play. And in good conscience, I cannot support that. So for that reason, I will be voting for the motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Fleming?
Thank you, Mayor Hinton. Through you to, I believe it's our legal advice, but I'm not, I'll put the question out there first, and whoever can answer it can do so. I'm a little bit unclear The county decided to terminate the operating agreement. Now, it was my understanding, once the operating agreement, they terminated it, that terminated the society as well. So that's not correct? Okay,
Society exists, is a standalone entity.
okay.
The operating agreement is essentially a contract between the society and the two municipalities, right? For operation of the REC itself.
Okay, so the society is still in place? So I guess, okay, yeah. No, that answered my question. My comment was, why are we even replacing it? If everything stays the same, what's the switch? But anyway, we'll leave that for later on. I don't want to get, you know what I mean? I don't at least understand why we're, so I guess my point is, the county doesn't have to rescind their decision for this to go ahead.
Well, if the county were to do nothing, and for example, if the county didn't agree to arrange a new operating agreement, again, when I said county has to follow the same course of action. So if today we vote, yes, we'll put in place a new operating agreement, we'll do this. Now, the county's already decided on the items that those first 3 items, so they've already decided on 6 people. They did that back in December, when we
Right.
agreed to do it, except let's do public engagement, right? However, the other items that are to follow, if the county decides not to follow through, for example, on something that whether that would be to rescind or to have a new operating agreement in place, you're correct. It would, even if this 6-person board would exist, it wouldn't have an operating agreement to operate with. So that does have to, there has to be an action there as well.
Just a couple more quick things. I'm not prepared to support the motion as it's written right now. I do, to continue the society is great. B, 6 directors, 3 of ours and 3 of theirs. I would like to see 2 community members also on that board, in the interim board, to have that input, because a lot of the people are already stakeholders in these new agreements that have been signed, so it'd be good to have them there, in my opinion. And the third one was, and if we can't, for whatever reason, if we can't have the community members on the interim board, I'd like to have a timeline on how long it'll take for these 6 people, 3 of our councillors and 3 of their councillors, like have a date, let's just say an arbitrary date of June 1st, we will, you know what I mean, get placed and have some citizens, at least it's a definite date.
Madam Mayor, initially, in putting together the proposed motion, myself and Mr. Thompson had that discussion. The problem is it's difficult to predict what that date would be, because again, we don't know. We don't even know if the county will agree to have citizen members. You know what I mean, or even be involved in those negotiations at this point. But I mean, we could put a date there. Difficulty is we just don't know what would be a reasonable time period.
I guess if the citizens are on there, we don't need the date. And if they're not on there, I'd like to see the date. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I hear your concerns, Counselor, and I appreciate it. I just want to say for everyone that our council did support citizens going on the board. So we know that this council has supported that. We also need to know that we have a $53 million facility that brings great benefit to the community for events and for our citizens, for health and wellness, for everything. And as owners, but really it's the taxpayers that own it, no one would want that to fail. We certainly don't. That's why we're in a time constraint here. I will be pushing for citizen reps on the board, but we have to move forward without pause now, because I don't want people to get pink slips at the end of the month. I do not. That is not where I'm coming from. It is a time, and we have to have that in place, okay? That's just the basic logistics of it. The facility, we want it to be its best. We want our taxpayers to enjoy it. We want great events coming. It's great for the community. But we're in a very time constraint here. I'm hoping with the municipality, we can all work together to make sure that happens. because we did vote this council for citizen engagement. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I'll be voting in favor of the motion, but, boy, I don't want to. And I'll tell you why, because I don't appreciate the fact that the county has, their decision regarding the operating agreement has painted us into a corner, and I don't like being there. And it's really unfortunate. You know, I'm not going to hash through everything. I've read through everything. I've talked to many people, like most of us have. I think we're all aware of what's going on. I think there's quite good clarity out there. There's only one thing that hasn't been discussed, and I'd like to bring it up because it's important to me, and I think it's important to us all. And that's that the town has to have a balanced operating budget. It can't go into deficit in its operating. And when it comes to the Nova Scotia Provincial Exhibition Grounds, managing that, that puts us at risk, you know. And so, if I understand Mr. Dolter, you know, that's a risk that I'm not willing to entertain on behalf of the taxpayers of this town. So that needs to be cleaned up, and so we're moving forward. And the thing is I would rather, you know, you say 2. If I was drawing it up, it would be 3, 3, and 3 as an interim, but it's not. This is where we're at. We have to work with the county. We have to find a way of going forward. We're asking, I guess, in a way, Madam Mayor, what you're asking is us to trust, to put your trust in those that are on the board, that they will be expedient in their work to bring into effect a more comprehensive board that works well for the community and, most important, for the rec as well. And also, you know, we all know that government doesn't do well. I've been in government most of my career, and I'm telling you, when it comes to outside the box creative thinking, you know, it doesn't do that well, right? And so having citizens on that board and making it a creative, successful operation, you know, we dearly need competent people from the community on that board. I hope and I trust, and I will be pushing for, and I hear you saying this too, Mayor,
Yep.
that we will be pushing to see
Will be.
a more comprehensive board that is the proper balance needed to be successful. So that's my statement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Councillor Graham?
I'd just like to point out that the suggestion of a pause has not been formally put on the table as part of any motion. But there are a couple of things that I'd like to address through the mayor to our solicitor. I was wondering about the appropriateness of us making decisions today when just on Saturday it was brought to our attention that members of this council indeed don't know the full truth, where other members of council have said that they have information that they have not been able to share. So I wonder about the appropriateness when there is information pertinent to decision making that is out there that has not been made available to all of council. I also wonder about the appropriateness of making a decision today when even as late as 3:48 on Friday, we received a new request for decision, and it was 3:48 on Friday that we're receiving a brand new, a highly amended request for a decision from our CAO without an opportunity really to discuss in person, ask questions. We have the opportunity to ask questions about it through email, but it's not really very productive. Thirdly, I'd like to state that at the forefront, and as I feel should be the priority of all council members, is to work cooperatively and collaboratively with our friends, neighbours, and colleagues from the county. And to Councillor Thomas's statement that he feels backed into a corner, I think there's a way out of that, and that is to ask the county to consider rescinding their motion, and thereby nobody's in a corner. Then we are all back at where we began. And I have confidence and trust in our ability to work cooperatively and collaboratively with the county. And I do know that there are councillors on the county's board who are indeed considering rescinding that motion. So, as I said, my question, first of all, was to our solicitor with the appropriateness, knowing that there is information out there, that we do not have the full truth, as stated by our colleagues, how appropriate it is to move forward on a decision.
Counselor, I actually don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand what information is out there that council hasn't been given. All of councils received the same information.
Well,
There may be differences in who reviewed what information, but I can guarantee you everybody's gotten the same information.
one of our...
At least for me, that is, right?
Well, it has been told, and I will quote, that the full truth is not out there as stated by one of our fellow colleagues at the table.
I think I know who they're.
Maybe you want to,
Councilor Pryor may want.
yes, Councillor Parr, would you like to jump in there? Just a minute till I turn you on here, just a second, hold on. There we go.
I also said that that's in my opinion, because I said in the meetings I didn't agree with what was going on. And if you wanted to know how I felt, in my opinion, that's what I meant by that. And I'm pretty sure you knew that. So I didn't say that there was information that the CAO was not giving us,
No, you didn't.
or that there were any secrets or anything held behind. I had my personal feelings, and I didn't feel comfortable making decisions that went against my beliefs.
Madam Mayor, I can address, I think I guess the amendment to the document that's in front of council right now, the request for decision. There was a minor change in the immediate actions. One was just the order of the item was, the first item on the composition of the board was the second item moved to the first. The second item, which is the new operating agreement, originally, again, since I'm being asked to disclose it, it originally did ask for the county to rescind their decision. The problem is that from a Robert's Rules of Order and from a legality perspective, one council does not have the right to ask another council to change its mind. It simply isn't done, right? So anything we decide, I guess what would be the feeling of council if the county said, well, we want you to change your mind on that, right? And again, once you've made your decision, it's your decision. So the reason, so we took the different tact was, and again, we did talk to the county on what they would be willing to accept, and that was to draft or to agree to a new operating agreement, which will come to council for approval in a special meeting before the end of the month. And in doing that, in all intents and purposes, it will look very much like the current operating agreement, but there will be some fundamental changes in areas that we think are important. And that is some of it on transparency, on public information, attending meetings and those types of things, as well as some things where we think there are some other procedures that need to be put in place to avoid some of the situations we've experienced over the last 8 months. So again, those will be amendments that'll be brought forward and highlighted for council's review. So again, we saw this an opportunity not to go with, the same operating agreement we had. If we're going to have a bit of a different governance structure, then we'll amend the operating agreement now and make some immediate changes that will be a positive change. And then as we get down through the motions here, we're also suggesting that operating agreement be further amended once we have decided what the permanent governance structure is going to look like. So again, we think that makes sense. And, I'd rather put something on the table for council to consider, which I'm fairly sure the county will agree to, as opposed to putting a motion on to rescind, which if the county doesn't agree to it, we have the very problem we talked about originally, and that's that the operating agreement expires and, we're in the situation where the society cannot operate the rec, and then we have a whole different problem on our hands.
Thank you.
Can you be certain of what the county is going or prepared to do?
I can only make an educated guess on what I think will be more palatable. And I did have a discussion I talked to the CAO, to kind of talk about, what we can do. Again, there's no collusion. This is the simple fact that we both have to agree to something for it to go ahead. Both councils have to agree. So if we don't, if we put something on the table we know is not going to fly, we're wasting our time. So we need to have something. And in my mind, a new operating agreement or a continuation of the previous operating agreement, they achieve the same aim. But
So it sounds to me like the CAOs are making these decisions.
no. Well, okay, I'll put it this way. I don't mean to get upset here. Make your motion. We'll say, let's ask the county to rescind. If council agrees to that,
Yeah, just like
then when it goes to the county council, if they don't agree, if they don't do it within 90 days, we can issue the layoff notices to the rec employees because we put ourselves in a situation that wasn't going to be agreed to. My job is to put council in a position where we have a solution that is manageable. And the solution we're proposing is manageable. If I put something in front of you that I know the county won't agree to, I'm not doing my job.
Well, I don't know how you can know what the county is.
Well, I know that they're not going to agree to something that violates Robert's Rules of Order, which is asking them to rescind. There may be very few situations where a sitting council is going to ask another council to change its mind. That just doesn't happen. Might do that in camera, and we might do that, but in a public meeting, it's not going to work. So that's why, we looked at another tack and say, okay, well, let's approve a new operating agreement. It does exactly the same thing, but it's likely to get approved as opposed to the action to rescind. The other thing from a Robert's Rules perspective is even if a member of the county council wants to rescind that, if they did not vote in favor of it being rescinded, they can't even put the motion on the floor. So anybody that was against the action that was taken, they can't even bring the motion forward. So there's a limited number of people that can even do that to vote to have it be rescinded. So again, I'm playing the odds here of bringing forward a motion for council to approve that I think has a better chance of having agreement from the county as opposed to something I'm fairly sure won't go forward. And that's the reason it's being put there. Not trying to predetermine this because at the end of the day, council's in charge. You can change that motion if you want to change it. I'm just presenting something, and in fact, I don't even think we've gotten to it yet. But that motion is there because it's one that we feel. I feel that in discussion with our solicitor, we feel that this is something that has more of a chance of being agreed to by the county and us getting to where we need to be.
Councillor Talbot, your light's been on for a while.
Yeah, respectfully, I have to distance myself from Councillor Graham's comments. I think we all had the information, and what Councillor Pryor was referencing late on Friday was some information she had by virtue of being a board member of the rec. So that may or may not have something to do with what the CAO has told us, but I think we had all the information. We had the chance to review the information. Some of us might have interpreted it differently, but the information was all there. At the end of the day, I absolutely support that the board that goes in place on a permanent basis absolutely must have public representation. That's the only model that makes sense in my opinion. But we are in a crunch where we have to take a decision that's less than desirable, but everybody on those two councils have the best interests of that facility in mind. There's no councilor that wants to see this fail. We want to get a solution. We're elected by the people. I listen to the people. I've heard what they said. You have to have something in place that has the public, and we will get there at the end of the day. But this debate, to me, is not going to solve anything. We've got to move to this interim thing. We've got to get this thing straightened out. We have information that the public doesn't have, and I read all those citizens' complaints, and they're not all 100% accurate. There are assumptions, there's information we have that they don't have by virtue of having responsibility to dig into this, to understand it, and try to make a decision that's responsible for the town. In my considered opinion, making a decision and the major request that come from the public was that we pause. If we pause, that's an irresponsible decision, in my opinion.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor?
State publicly that it's my belief, and I've talked to county councilors, the county wants the best for the rec. And so I appreciate the county, so I want that understood. The other thing is, I've heard a couple of times people talk about getting information in a timely manner from the CAO. I want to say very clearly, I've been in positions in senior government organizations, et cetera, for some time in my previous life. And I've never found the information that we've got being too hurried. When you're at a senior position, and essentially we are like directors of a company, information sometimes comes very quickly to you, and you have to make decisions. And things change fast, and you have to be able to make decisions on the move. And you try not to do that, but that's life. And I felt that in a very responsible way, I've received information and had time to consider what's been given to me. So I just want to clear that up, because saying that we don't get information in a timely way is just not correct, considering the circumstances. So I hope that's clear, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll quickly repeat my agreement with what some of what has already been said. We all want the rec to succeed. Nobody wants to see an end to these events at either of the facilities. It's critical to the town. We appreciate everything that's being done, but we are in a bit of a sticky position where we have to choose the least bad of the bad choices in front of us. I am not a huge fan of having this board be, municipal driven, especially when we are a 6-6, because we have that deadlock potential now. We have 3 and 3. If 3 vote one way and 3 vote another, we're in a deadlock, and that shouldn't happen. I do think we should find a way to get another member in there in case of tie-breaking necessity. But again, this seems to be the least bad of the options, because if we don't have something in place, people are losing their jobs. We don't want people to lose their jobs. We don't want the rec to stop functioning. It is so important to so many in the community. We need to keep this operating. With regards to Robert's Rules of Order, I will agree with our CAO 100% from what I have seen in, watching the county meetings. They're sticklers for the rules. That request for them to rescind things would not work at all. That would not happen. I do want to say, again, I do support citizen representation, and I understand the difficulty in setting an end date for the municipal-led board, but I think we have said that there are things that we need to happen. I think we could set a goal-driven date a goal-driven end, so that rather than putting an actual date on it, once certain objectives have been completed, then we can turn this back over to a citizen board. Because you're right, Mr. Dolter, we don't know when that's going to be. We don't have a date, but I do think we know that we have goals that we need to achieve, and we can set an end based on the completion of those goals, or at least, raising the reappointment of a board once these goals have been completed. And again, this is not the way that I want to go, but I do see this as the least bad of the current decisions under their time crunch, and I will be supporting the motion.
Thank you, Councillor. So, Mr. Dolter, did you want to make the motion for item 1, and then we take the vote?
So we're going to want it read one more time?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Be resolved, the council approve an interim board until a new structure is agreed upon, based on the recommendations from the 11 December 2025 special council meeting. And again, I'll go through those items. A, continue to have the society manage and operate the rec. B, to have 6 directors of the society, all of whom are members of council, 3 from the town, 3 from the municipality. And C, amend the management structure to have regular board meetings as well as reporting between board members, board meetings among a management team consisting of the 2 owners, CAOs, and the general manager of the rec. This would promote greater collaboration and cohesiveness in the management of the rec.
Thank you. Council, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Aye.
Well, they're grouped together, so that's all from, so that's the one motion there. So, yeah. Now,
You mentioned earlier we're going to vote on each one.
yeah, well, I meant the, each of the motions, those were just the detailed points from, yeah, yeah. So, Councillor Fleming, the certainty of the date, I'll suggest when we get to the third motion, which is on the striking of the Citizens Committee to recommend the governance structure. If we inserted a date there, so that would give us a date to try to have that in place with that joint committee. Suggest that's where we can do that. So I'll go to the next motion if we could, Madam Mayor.
Yes. You want to vote on that motion first? Or you
Oh,
just
did they?
read them?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we voted, and
Do we vote?
yes, we did vote. And who is, I had Councillor Talbot, yes. Deputy Mayor, yes. Councillor Pryor, yes. Mayor Hinton, yes. Councillor McGrath, yes. Councillor Fleming? Nay. Councillor Graham? Nay. Okay, motion is approved.
Okay.
Move on to the next.
Madam Mayor, just in case it's lost on anybody, at the county council meeting, or when the county council could vote themselves to rescind, and that is perfectly acceptable. So again, we're putting this in place to have a new operating agreement on the basis that the county's not going to take that action themselves, and they might agree to setting up their own a new operating agreement along with us. So again, just if that clarifies anything at all. Okay, so the next item is, our next motion, be it further resolved that the interim board draft a new interim operating agreement to permit the continued operation of the rec by the society, and that this agreement will come to council in a special meeting before the end of January 2026 for ratification.
Mover? Deputy, seconder? Councillor Talbot? Discussion? Councillor Talbot?
Yeah, I guess I do have one big concern. Given the elevated public interest in this, transparency is of the utmost importance. And so when we're having these deliberations as the 6 councilors, will those be public meetings or private meetings?
I think there's actually a requirement to amend the bylaws in order to make that happen, because right now the bylaws of the society say that those are closed meetings. Well, yeah, that's something I think we have to review and have legal advice on as well too. There is some need for societies, often nonprofit societies do have closed meetings. However, I don't disagree. That could be amended to have more open meetings, and then they always have the ability to go in camera for anything that has to be discussed in a closed forum.
That even makes for better community engagement when the meetings are open, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, we got Councillor Fleming, you're up.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Hinton. Just reading it over it again. So again, is this where you said we could put a timeline in? Or say,
Well,
hey,
this one has to be done. No, it'll be the next motion on the council citizen committee.
So back to this
Yep.
motion. Be it further resolved to strike a joint council's citizens committee.
No, that's the next motion. We haven't gone to that one yet.
Okay.
So yeah, we're right.
What one are we on?
Sorry, right now we're on the interim. Okay, so I'll read the motion again,
I thought
Mr.
we
Mayor.
already voted on
Please.
this.
Be it further resolved that the interim board draft a new interim operating agreement to permit
Okay, I have the wrong one up.
the continued operation of the rec
Yeah.
by the society.
wrong way.
And this agreement will come to council in a special meeting before the end of January 2026 for ratification.
My apologies.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the original package that was sent out
Okay.
to us for council, and
Okay.
you're right, there's been 2 amendments since
Yeah.
then, and I should have picked up on it.
So
My
this,
apologies.
so again, this,
I'll get them.
this motion would replace the original thought that asking the council to rescind.
Correct.
So this would be to
at
draft
the
the new interim operating agreement.
Thank you.
Counselor Pryor?
I also had concerns about the meetings being not publicized. So I agree with Mr. Talbot.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Graham?
I'm just wondering, how will 3 council members from our council be selected?
Well, we'll be discussing that. And we'll be discussing that.
We?
The CAO, well, I can certainly put an interest, if you're interested in serving, put your name forward. I know Counselor Talbot did many years, he's not interested in going back on the board. And then it'll be decided.
Yeah, councilors sit on committee by policy with the direction of the mayor and the deputy mayor, I believe.
That's right. So I'll be meeting with the deputy mayor. And remember, there are counselors on boards all over this town in different organizations. And they bring a lot of value to those organizations. All right, so are we ready? Are we prepared now? We've had our mover, we've had our seconder. Are we prepared to vote?
Well, has it been amended? Oh, I thought we were amending this one.
No. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Okay, 2 contrary minded, motion is passed. Please go forward, Mr. Jolter, with your next one.
Okay, so be it further resolved to strike a joint citizens council committee and councils, not council committee, that would be the town and the county, committee to develop and recommend a new governance structure. And that's the way the motion's, but Councillor Fleming, if you wanted to propose a date or a timeline on that prior to it being, because it's proposed at this point, if you wanted a date in there, we could do that now. As far as so what,
There, you light up there and I'll put you on.
Thank
you
you,
go.
Mayor Hinton. Yeah, I'd just like to amend that portion of the motion to say, okay, again, for clarity, I wish they were numbered, but not, the second motion, the one we just approved as council. That says that in my understanding, this is just to make sure that the rec center operates after
correct,
the 90 days have expired from the
Correct.
county rescinding and they had 90 days to clean things up.
correct.
Okay. So this says once the 6 councilors get together and everything's operating after January, this group is going to get together and then they're going to appoint some citizens to their committee, to the society. Or does the committee going to be separate?
So no, so this would be, in my mind, this would be separate. It would certainly involve the society board, the 2 councils, and
Right.
then citizen representation.
It's a committee and council
Yeah.
to develop and recommend a new government structure.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like to amend that motion to say the committee will be structured as soon as possible, and with the outcome, I'd say like, I know the budgets, because our budget comes out in the end of March, that's not going to be enough time, I don't think. I'd say like till August 31st, September 1st or something. If possible, or, you know what I mean, if,
I was thinking
Yeah.
earlier, hopefully we'll have something in place before the summer.
okay, well.
But I'm
go
not,
for that,
again, I'm
yeah.
not sure.
I'll say June 31st then, or,
Yeah, so we can say June 30th, 2026, and then if it has to be amended, we can do that.
absolutely, great,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay. So I'll reread that, Madam Mayor.
So this is the amended motion that has come forward from Councillor Fleming, and
Be
we're
it-
going to read that now.
Yeah, be it further resolved to strike a joint councils, citizens committee to develop and recommend a new governance structure to be in place by not later than 30 June 2026.
Okay. Council, you heard the amended motion? Oh, wait. Okay, just I got two here. Councillor McGrath.
Just want to second the amendment by Councillor Fleming.
Okay. Councillor Talbot.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand the amendment, I guess, because Councilor Fleming, you said if there were citizens rep, you didn't see the need for a time frame. So is this proposing citizen and council reps?
Well, no, this is what we'd put the six person board in place, and then we'd strike the committee, hopefully in the in the January, February timeframe, and we start sitting down to look at what a new government structure would look like, as well as discuss, I think part of the responsibility too we'd be looking at the operating agreement, what needs to be in the operating agreement, and what changes to be made overall in order to move forward.
Yeah, I understand all of that, but what I don't understand is this 6 councilors or 6 councilors and plus community reps?
Well, this would be whatever form the two councils decide it would be. So it could be the board itself, the 6 individuals plus council members, and then citizens reps, whatever that committee, the decision on what the committee would look like. So this is a completely separate committee from the board itself, but it would likely include board members as well.
Yeah, and I guess why I'm confused, because I would have thought that the amendment would have came with respect to the committee that had only 6 councilors. But you're making it to the committee that has 6 councilors plus public representation. You probably meant to make it for the prior motion.
Now you got me confused.
No, well, that ship has sailed. You guys already approved the 3 and 3, so this is a separate committee. That's if the county doesn't rescind their decision, I'll start with that. Then we're going to go to 3 councilors from us, 3 councilors from them, and then that group is going to come up with a committee ASAP to decide on a proper government, which has to include members of the public. To come up with something that's palatable for everybody. I guess that's the easiest way to do it. And then it'll come back to us and we'll decide from there.
Yeah, again, to be honest, we didn't look at what exactly this, the Citizens Councils Committee would look like at this point, other than that we would strike it. We've done those before. Again, this is, the first 2 motions were to have something in place immediately to allow continuation of business. This is a follow-on to say, okay, what's next and what does that look like? Again, based on the engagement, clearly, public and I think members of council feel that citizen involvement in the board is critical. And again, we need to sit down and discuss what that would look like with some of the groups that have come forward and get that input.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'll speak against that motion, and the only reason is, Councillor, is that I don't see it as being helpful to put an end date on it, because I think the energy in this issue is to get a citizen board up as soon as possible. And if it was just us making the decisions, just this council making the decisions, I just let it go. But where we're dealing with 2 councils, I just don't want to come up against something. I just don't see that as, I think the will is there to do it. So I don't think setting a date is going to change anything. I don't think it's helpful. That's my thought. I'll be voting against the amendment.
Okay. Do you want to read that again, Mr. Dolter? And then we're going to vote, if there's a God in heaven.
Be it further resolved to strike a joint Citizens Committee to develop and recommend a new governance structure. And again, the amendment is by 30 June 2026.
Okay. we've had a mover, we've had a seconder to the amended motion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Two, Councillor McGrath, what did your vote?
Aye.
3 yeses? Okay, that's defeated.
Okay, so we'll go back to the original motion, which be it further resolved to strike a council's citizen committee to develop and recommend a new governance structure.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you. Mr. Dolter.
And the final item, be it further resolved that in conjunction with the society board and the county, the required amendments to the bylaws be made, and again, that would be by the interim board, to permit the maintenance of regular business at the rec. So again, this would, actually, to be honest, just 1 second now. So that should actually, Madam Mayor, I'm going to amend that. So be it further resolved in conjunction with the society boards, the society board and the county, the required amendments be made to the bylaws and the operating agreement to permit the maintenance of regular business at the rec based on the new structure.
Okay. I need a mover. Councillor McGrath. I need a seconder. Councillor Talbot. Discussion, council. There is none. We're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Dolter.
Madam Mayor, one of the things, just looking for council's okay on the executive summary of the, I'm not sure if we put it online yet or not, of the survey. Did we do that?
We haven't put the results of the summary of the survey on yet.
So we will put the summary of the, just for transparency, on the summary of the survey. We hadn't put that up yet, obviously, because it was information for council at this point. The detailed data will not be provided because there is information in there that could be seen as inflammatory. So we'll leave it at that, and but we will post the summary for public review.
Thank you very much. Difficult topic, sensitive topic. We care about the rec. We want it to succeed. We care about events. We're moving forward, smiling and happy. We're going forward, and we're moving on to item 4E. And
Madam
that is
Ma-
the request for decision for 373 Roby Street.
So, Madam Mayor, we'll delay that till the council meeting
Correct.
this evening?
And that will be adjourned till 6 p.m. tonight. And Eastlink will not be covering that hearing, but you can watch it on the web or our town web, and also, yeah, so that's, I just wanted to say that. It will not be covered on Eastlink tonight. Okay, so first we need a mover to do that. We have to move that we were going to move it till tonight. We have to make a motion, don't we? Or should we, with the, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if we
Okay, we'll just
actually
move-
need to. We're
okay.
just going
Just
to
move
defer
on.
till this
Just
evening.
move on.
Right?
Okay, we have item F, the Canadian Firefighters Curling Championships. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the Canadian Firefighters Curling Championships will be hosted in Truro from March 19th to 28th, 2026. This is a national event. This national event brings together firefighters from every province and territory for a 10-day curling tournament and celebration. This will be the 5th time Nova Scotia has hosted the championships. The event is expected to attract approximately 150 visitors to the area, including 60 curlers, 75 to 90 guests and fans. In addition, 80 to 100 volunteers from local fire service and brigades will support the event throughout its duration. Championships are projected to generate approximately $250,000 in local economic spending over the 10-day period through accommodations, fuel, vehicle rentals, dining, hospitality, retail purchases across the town of Truro and the county of Colchester. The total projected budget for the event is $95,000. As of November 2025, $48,000 had been secured. The confirmed funding includes the county of Colchester $8,000, Sports Nova Scotia $7,500, and Metal Fab, they're the major sponsor, for $3,500. The organizing committee has approached the new Central Nova Scotia Tourism Development Society to request $7,000 in funding. However, because of the society's is newly established, it does not currently have a policy or process in place to accept funding requests. It is anticipated that such a process will be established in the 26-27 fiscal year. An application was previously submitted to the town of Truro through the 2025-26 municipal grant program, but was declined with direction provided to seek funding through the forthcoming Tourism Development Society due to the event's tourism-related nature. As that funding source is not yet available, the Canadian Firefighters Curling Championships are requesting support from the town of Truro in the amount of $7,000 to help deliver this event. So the proposed motion is, be it resolved that council approve the $7,000 funding request to support the Canadian Firefighters Curling Championship being held in Truro from March 19th to 28th, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Dolter. Looking for a mover, Councillor Fleming, and second to Councillor McGrath. Discussion, council. None. Okay, wow. All right, so we'll make a vote. All those in favor of supporting the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Very much. Now we're moving on to our item 5, which is in-camera summary reports. Mr. Dolter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So council met on the 1st of December to discuss a legal issue. There is a requirement today for council to meet after the meeting for an in-camera session.
Thank you. Now we're moving on to our committee reports. After each report, council will have the opportunity to ask questions, and then we'll approve the reports after we've heard every one of them. And our first report today is from our CAO, Mike Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So under the board and governance caption, talk about the REC and NSPE. So along with the CAO from the County of Colchester, I had the opportunity to meet with REC senior management staff to discuss issues and identify items that need to be addressed for the continuation of normal operations. Through the discussion, there were some clear concerns expressed by management, and obviously they're looking for a decision to be made as soon as possible by the municipal units in order to make sure operation can continue as normal. The capital plan and repair and replacement of key infrastructure in the pool and arenas in the arena are priorities. These items were budgeted as part of the 25-26 capital budget. However, work remains before the projects can get underway. So those two items are the Dectron unit in the pool, which deals with the humidity in the pool, as well as the multi-stack unit. So again, the money was budgeted, and we are trying to get that work underway. We met with the Farm Loan Board and Culture, Communities and Heritage officials to discuss the future of the NSP site and determine their commitment. We also met with them again this morning, and there was no decisions for council at this time. We met with officials from the Truro Raceway also to discuss issues with their continued operation, and again, we will continue to meet with them moving forward should it be required. As per the direction of council, the public engagement process was conducted through December 23rd to the 5th of January. Results of the first survey were provided to council prior to today's meeting. As well as indicated a little while ago, we will be posting the executive summary of those results for public's review. And again, in the request for decision we just went through, we did talk about those results. So again, clearly, public wanting some representation of citizens on the REC board. With respect to other council and committee work that was doing, meeting with the Women's Historical Society on December 22nd, 2025. So members of the African Nova Scotian Strategy Committee, along with the mayor and town members of the committee, met with the Women's Historical Society around the naming process for the Ford Street Park. The society expressed concerns around the park naming process that was being conducted, as they felt that they had already named the park when the plaques on the site had been unveiled in May 2025. As previously had been explained to council and also back through the society, We did outline that the commitment had been made by the town that any decisions involving the African Nova Scotian community, any decisions that were made affecting them would be directly discussed with them and would be done in conjunction with them. And again, we did express that again during the meeting. So the African Nova Scotian Community Strategy Committee did vote to follow the same process used for the naming of No. 2 Construction Battalion Athletic Facility, and which the town is now facilitating. And in fact, I think the name submission has ceased at this point. Through the process, names were submitted, the names that were submitted will be narrowed down to 3 or 4, and a vote will be held to choose the final name, which will come to council for ratification. We are also inviting people outside the strategy committee to work with us to narrow down to those 3 or 4 names. And in fact, I believe we're offering somebody from the History Society to come forward as well and be involved in that process. So we will continue to be advised by the committee on priorities and actions required to support the community itself. So again, we have committed to that, and I think we have to stay strong in that particular issue, even though this, I know, did create some controversy, particularly seems to be in Halifax, but more so in the local community. As far as operational administrative goes, the Christmas period closure to the public over the Christmas holiday period, specifically from 25 December to the 1st of January. Town Hall was closed to the public to allow staff to take advantage of the season. It appeared to work well with no issues identified. We had people come in the second for business, and we were open for regular hours. So again, I didn't see any clear complaints, and I believe, given the fact that we addressed a number of water breaks over that period, I think all the emergency line worked well. So again, I don't think there was any interruptions or any significant inconvenience of any members of the public. As far as the strategic initiative and communications, a few points I'm going to highlight. With respect to public transportation, staff expect to receive the draft report in January, with a timeline for report completion now will be early February 2026. So again, that is moving along, and it has been a lengthy process, but I think they've been fairly thorough. Next item is the urban deer management. As part of the town's deer management strategy, we have completed the 2025 controlled managed hunt, marking the most productive year since the program began. The 2025 hunt ran from the end of September through mid-December and resulted in a total of 88 deer harvested within the town of Truro, representing the highest annual harvest achieved through the program to date. Of the 88 deer that were harvested, 73 were harvested through the town of Truro's excuse me, authorized hunters. 15 were harvested by Millbrook First Nation hunters. So again, the town continues to collaborate with DNRR, Dalhousie University, Feed Nova Scotia, and Millbrook First Nations on the program, and we want to thank everybody for their continued support. Again, the urban site that we did select this year did work very well, and again, we will be seeking future approval to use that site and look at other potential sites as well that will be more safe, but more in the core of the downtown. Next item is the Recover Initiative, Truro Farmers Market. So the town continues to collaborate with Recover, the Recover Initiative, through its building transformation program to develop a retrofit for the market hall on Yonge Street, which everybody knows houses the Truro's Farmers Market. This program will provide the town with comprehensive assessment of the building, outlining potential efficiency upgrades and retrofits to consider. At this time, Recover Initiative has hired East Point to undertake the study, and a projected kickoff meeting took place in mid-December. The project kickoff, I should say. Climate Risk Resiliency Plan. The town's climate risk and resiliency plan is underway. This study is expected to be delivered in fall of 2026. The Climate Risk and Resiliency Plan will assess the town's vulnerabilities to climate change impacts, including extreme heat, flooding, wildfire, invasive species, storms, and will develop strategies to mitigate risks and build resilience. Funding for the project was provided through FCM's Climate Ready Plans and Processes Program. Community Wildlife Protection Plan. In December, the town of Truro received funding from the Department of Natural Resources to undertake a community wildfire protection plan. The purpose of developing the plan is to identify the wildfire risk within the surrounding of the town of Truro, specifically regarding potential wildfire outbreaks in Truro's Victoria Park, its watershed area, or adjacent undeveloped wooded areas. The plan will aim to describe the potential consequences of wildfire impacting these areas and to examine options and strategies for reducing wildfire risk to the community. The plan will also look to outline a local emergency response plan if a wildfire were to occur, ensuring it ties into the REMO and provincial efforts. The Community Wildfire Protection Plan will assess the level of risk in the area, taking into account how the community will develop in future. It will also shed light on threats to human lives, property, and critical infrastructure posed by wildfires. In addition to defining these threats, it is essential to identify the measures needed to mitigate them and outline a plan for action for implementing such measures. An RFP will be issued in January 26 to hire a consultant to help facilitate the plan for the town. And again, Madam Mayor, this fits well into our capital planning as well too, as we look at addressing some of the wildfire equipment requirements as we move forward and making sure the community is safe. And again, the additional social media and communications project, there's a list there of items that we have been up to. And again, they're extensive. So again, we encourage people to check our social media sites and keep themselves informed. And if there's anything that they would like to see us feature, they can certainly contact us on that. Again, for council's benefit, there is a summary of the funding program overviews, and there's 2 items pending right now, and that's for council's review. Again, that is my report, Madam Mayor, respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Mr. Dolter? Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Dolter, regarding the Recover Initiative, I just wanted to highlight the value of the market, not just as an economic driver, but also as a valuable third space. There's so much community that happens at the market, people having conversations and just being able to spend some time there. So I'm really, really looking forward to what we see coming back from East Point on the Recover Initiative. Regarding public transit, you indicated there that we are looking at having the report hopefully completed by early February. Really positive, of course, that delays are not always positive because there was so much engagement that it was they needed extra time. I view that as a very good thing. But when do we foresee that being presented to council? I would assume the February Committee of the Whole meeting.
I just received the draft report on Friday. I haven't had a chance to look at it or anything yet. So we'll take some time to review that and hope to have the report finalized by early February. So assuming that that timeline stays in place and there's no major changes to the draft report, it's likely that it could be presented at February's Committee of the Whole.
Okay.
Yeah, and then what we would do is follow up in the March public council meeting to accept the report. So at that point. And I say accept as opposed to approve the report, because again, we have to look at through the budget process and discussions with the county on where we move in general with the implementation.
Well, that's good, because obviously we are time bound on our budget. I really think that that's something that we need to be keeping in mind, that we will have a public transit report that we can accept. And we should be looking at potentially setting money aside in the budget for public transit should that come to pass. Regarding the deer, we mentioned 88 deer and the success of the new urban site. Mr. Dole, do you know how many deer were taken from that new site this year of those 88?
It was 35, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, there was 35 taken out of that site.
Okay, and you mentioned that we would be looking to expand, use that site again next year. Do we expect that we got most of the deer out of that site and that they will all have moved out, or do we expect there to still be deer there to be
No,
harvested
it's,
next year?
yeah, given the nature of the site, I think it's a pretty attractive one for other deer to move into once the other ones are not there anymore. So we expect, but again, we have had occasions where sites that have been good one year are not good in subsequent years. So again, we'll leave that up to our hunting team, and they'll determine whether or not it's worthwhile staying in the site. If it's not productive, then they likely would move to another, put a priority on another site.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. And those deer will be back to that site, I can practically guarantee it, so I know that. Counselor Pryor, you're up.
For someone who lives near the park, I'm very excited that we're looking at a protection plan. Does that mean we'll also be looking at ways to mitigate risks?
Yes, yeah, that's part of it. And one of the things that I know the chief is working on, fire chief is working on, just a public education process. I think it's Fire Safe. I think it's the program is called. One of the things that we also want people to consider is preventative measures as well too, both on their property and depending on what the report provides to Parks and Rec staff, maybe looking at things that they need to do as well. You know, and again, we're looking at best practices. So yeah, we are looking at preventative measures, being proactive, and you know, determining what we need and can implement. You know, and I know Councilor McGrath was asking about one of the fire roads before, and again, those are something we have to look at. It was what do we have in place that we need to update, and then if there's any new roads or anything else we need to put in place in order to make sure everybody's safe, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, 3 questions. One has to do with this fleet electrification study, and I'm just wondering the company that seems to be doing it is East Point, if that's what I read, and I'm just wondering about the recommendations coming from that company in regards to whether or not they think that we can go all EV or whether there should be hybrid vehicles, or what's the best way to go electric in the town of Truro.
I haven't seen the copy of the report yet. I don't know if Ms. Grant can answer that or not.
Yeah, so we're doing it in 2 phases. We looked at our light and medium duty fleet. We didn't look at our heavy duty fleet at this time because there's not a lot of options or reasonable expectations that we'd be able to electrify that. So we've done the report in 2 different phases. Phase 1 has been completed. It looked at a high level of our inventory, our site readiness, and some things like that. Phase 2 is diving deeper into the business case for it, the financial feasibility about it, and how we would phase actual implementation to take advantage of funding programs and whatnot. So it's about halfway done. I can certainly circulate the Phase 1 report, but there is a lot more to come
Right.
on that one as well.
But they will be considering hybrid vehicles as well, as because, you know, maybe that's a solution to go gas and electric together, right?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where most
especially-
of our success has been so far,
Yeah.
is our hybrid implementation.
Yeah.
So we found that's more
So I just
effective.
don't want them looking just at EV and then come back and say, well, EV's not going to really work. And then we have the question, well, would hybrid work then? I want them also to be considering, you know, the solution.
Yeah, there's certainly hybrid considerations too, where like the site readiness isn't necessarily feasible to input the charging infrastructure.
Right, right. And a second question on this, we do have a couple of sites in town here, right?
Yes.
I don't have an EV vehicle, I'm guilty. But what's the usage on those?
It's fairly good. I mean, we're not
Are we
we're not
monitoring
going to
that?
pave a road with the money we make from it. It pretty well breaks even most of the time. So it's a break-even proposal. We provide it more as a public service.
Are people lining up to use it?
They're used fairly often. Yeah, we have regular customers there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, it is being used.
Dear management, I am really happy to hear that we're considering moving to another urban hunt center. There's lots of places in town actually where there's ravines and environmental zones where this could be carried out effectively. I know this is just ad hoc, but I can tell you that my neighbors have told me that there's an observable difference in the number of deer in our neighborhood, because I live very close to that site. So, you know, it's making a difference. And there's other people in town that live in other areas of the town. They're saying, well, it hasn't made any difference in my neighborhood. Well, I'm sort of learning that deer are kind of local, you know? They just hang around certain areas. And so, you know, I think we should be really actively seeking to move this hunt into other areas to get control of deer in the town. So I'll just make that point. I love deer. I think they're beautiful animals, but, you know, anyways, except when they're eating my vegetables, then I don't like them so much. Okay, the last thing is this 3D visualization of flood mapping. This is in that table again that you circulated, Mr. Dolter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is that? What does that mean, that 3D? Because I'd love to see that. Is that happening? What's happening?
I will defer to Mr. Fox on that 3D visualization. There we go.
Okay. I don't actually have an answer to that right now, so I can respond back to you next month if that's agreeable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But it sounds intriguing. Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And let me just see. That was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. We're now going to move on to our Corporate Services report with our Director, Tara Russell. Tara?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The attached financial statements provides an overview of the financial position of the town of Truro operations to the end of November 2025. For revenue, at the end of November, total revenue was $38 million, representing 95.3% of the annual budget and $2.6 million higher than this time last year. Revenue is recognized when invoiced, and most accounts are fully invoiced for the year. The timing of other accounts can vary, some being billed monthly, quarterly, or as expenses are incurred, depending. The financial report contains comments in certain accounts where I felt an explanation might be warranted. As of the end of November, total expenses amount to $25.8 million, representing 64.8% of the annual budget, and is $1.5 million higher than last year this time, which is in line with our expectations. The financial report contains comments beside certain accounts, again, to help explain expenses to date, where they may be higher than otherwise expected for this time of year. The capital budget report is also attached. Values in this report are shown at total cost. However, some of these purchases may be partially funded by grants. $4.9 million, or 38% of the $13 million adjusted budget, has been spent as of November 30th. As an update to our tax accounts receivable, our final tax bills were due on October 31st, and it's currently sitting at 6.2% outstanding as of December 31st. As a reminder, it was 8.2% in late November. So it's declining and is expected to continue to decline as the year progresses. In December, we, as talked about already in this meeting, the municipal grant policies were revised early and were approved by council a few minutes ago. The new policies and application form will be available online tomorrow, January 13th, and the grant application deadline is January 31st, 2026. Work has begun on the 26-27 budget, with department heads finalizing their expense budgets and long-term capital plan over the next 2 weeks. Finance will then consolidate the results and review before presenting the results to the CAO and then to senior staff. Consolidated review by senior staff will occur in February. Finance will adjust as necessary following that meeting and prepare a presentation for council's first review by the first week in March. The goal, again, this year is for budgets to be approved at the April 12th council meeting. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Director. Any questions? Councilor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Easy questions first. When we see something that says it's at, like, for example, 87% of the budget, but there's a comment that says 100% complete, that means we're not looking at just a discrepancy. It's complete, it's under budget, and we're happy, correct?
Correct.
Perfect. And then if it was, say, 107%, 100% complete, that's over budget and we're less happy, correct?
Right.
Perfect. With regards to the professional development overruns, it looks like that happened in a couple of departments, and there are plans to underspend elsewhere. I assume that's within the same department?
Correct.
Okay, and that when we're doing that, what impacts are we having to department operations? I'm hoping none, and that if there was an impact, staff would be coming to council looking for additional funding from somewhere from reserves, correct?
I believe so. I mean, the numbers so far, year to date, I think for the police department was $5,000 and Public Works was $2,000 over budget. I've been given assurances that they're done spending. So I don't expect them to materially impact those operations, but I'll let those two directors address that.
Yeah, and typically, if I could, Madam Mayor, so what we do departmentally, we manage to the bottom line. So we're, again, and the department heads, if, like you say, if PD is over by a certain amount of money, they're expected to manage that within their resources and ensure that they have that offset by under expenditure somewhere else. If, in the worst case scenario, if a department ended up being, by, clearly going to be over its overall budget, then if we couldn't manage that, we would likely, if we got to that scenario, we'd come back to council to look at additional funding would be required. But in 11 years, I don't think I've had a departmental budget that's gone over its allocation for the year. So it has been done well. And again, the department heads will cut in areas if they feel they're over and there's another priority that has to be dealt with. The problem we have is that to be continually shifting money around, or not continually, but again, it doesn't, in some cases we want, at the year end, we want to be able to look at that budget and say, okay, the budget amount that was set for that year wasn't enough because we ended up spending more than was allocated, and that'll trigger an adjustment as part of the budget process goes in the following year.
Okay, thank you. And then one last question. The multi-stack budgeted for this year, but it seems the prerequisite work wasn't done. And Mr. Dolter, I probably should have asked you this in your report, but I just noticed that it's here. It was mentioned in both, so I thought I would bring it up here. What is that prerequisite work, and what was holding us back?
There's been, with all the other things that have been going on with the rec, that's something that, it is a priority, but it hasn't been dealt with at this point. There's been some initial preliminary conceptual work done as far as the design goes, but the detailed design work hasn't been done yet. So until such time that's done, we really can't order the unit, because again, we need a detailed design so that it can be spec'd out by whatever is going to be bid on it. So the next stage would be detailed design work to be actioned. And then once that we have that, then we go request for proposal to actually buy the unit itself, and then have the and work towards the installation.
And who's working on that detailed design?
The detailed design is going to go out shortly in an RFP to have that design work done. And so that has not yet been done.
Okay, why? What has held? I'm trying to understand what has held us back.
Well,
it sounds like it's us that need to request the design. Why has that not been done?
Yeah,
we just had it budgeted for this year.
Well, it's just a matter that we have not been able to get to with all the back and forth that's been going on with the rec itself. Question is what's suffering when all this stuff's happening. Here's one of the items that's suffering.
Right.
We should have got to this business, but it's been we haven't been able to get to it, but we will be addressing it shortly.
All right, and I asked mostly because, as you referenced, the rec has been a hot topic of conversation. There's certainly been a lot happening, so wanted to know. I know I said that was the final question, but I do have one more, and this is for Ms. Russell, and I apologize, you may not have these numbers on hand. The tax accounts receivable, total taxes for the year are there, the total outstanding and the percentage outstanding. Do we have any indication, is this a higher than usual number, a lower than usual number, or is this about par for the course that 6.2% of taxes are still outstanding after the final tax bill?
I haven't looked at that, but I understand it to be fairly normal just in conversations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, Councillor, I was also interested in that because, as far as the tax effort, we're moving to 4.1% or so, that's my understanding, and that's sort of into the yellow, so I'm concerned about that. And I was also interested, is that 6.1% outstanding, was that more than other years? And you indicated that it wasn't, so that it appears as though people are are able to make their tax commitment, which is quite a burden for many people. So, yeah.
Right.
But I do have a question. A lot of capital-intensive projects it's my understanding, they're coming to an end, such as the 2nd Construction Battalion Recreation Facility and the ball field. And so we have approximately $12 million surplus in capital. And I'm just wondering, I'm interested in that 26-27 budget. And I know you've reported that, directors are starting to put that together. And I'm just wondering at what point will we be presented with a capital budget for next year, strawman, that we could take a look at. Perhaps Mr. Dolter, you could chime in if
That's part of the budget process we're going through now. So again, Mr. Browning's working on the capital budget now. And we're hoping, and I know it's not going to be this year, we're not going to be through this budget period, but we're hoping to actually have a 5-year capital plan to put in front of council, which that's what Ms. Russell's aiming for, and that probably will be more in the top. But the 26, 27, we're working on that now. There's a number of projects that are going to be carried over. Again, the infamous traffic lights. A couple of projects like there that we haven't been able to get done this year. They're going to be carried into the new year, and then there'll be some new projects that are coming up as well.
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing that, and I think it's very good to be putting in a more longer-term 5-year plan for capital expenditures. So thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy. Councillor Pryor up.
I just have a comment to say. I appreciate the side notes.
Oh, good.
It helps to understand.
Yeah, I like putting them right there too, so you know exactly what line I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Councillor Graham?
Through you, Mayor, to our Chief of Police, I'm just wondering about the criminal record checks. They're going to come in lower than expected. Is that going to result in any change in employment or loss of hours for officers who had been doing them?
Well, for starters, it's not officers, it's civilian staff. But no, we just have one person doing them, so, yeah.
Their employment will remain the same regardless?
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Our next report is our Fire Services report from Chief Lois Curry.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Council. For the month of December, we received 114 alarms. We had 3 structure fires, 2 flue fires, 2 car fires, 2 power lines into trees for fires, 25 alarms, 56 medical calls, 21 motor vehicle collisions, 1 elevator entrapment, 1 public assistance, 1 mutual aid call, and 1 fuel spill. The fire inspector for the month did 10 inspections, 6 follow-up inspections, 2 fire investigation, an electric fire and 1 car fire, and gave out 3 alcohol and gaming permits through inspections. Also for the month, he attended the annual fall conference for the Fire Inspectors Association in Nova Scotia, which was held in Yarmouth. And this month's focus was on operational firefighting training and medical training with his duty crews and the use of some accumulated vacation time that he had to use up. He put that in himself. Firefighter training for the month, we focused on hose line stretching and deployment, 1 and 2 firefighter stretches, and how to overcome common obstacles. And last year, for the total calls for the year, was 1,428, respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Chief, for your report. Just a curiosity about the elevator entrapment. When something like that happens, does that trigger, investigations or, of the elevator itself, or an inspection of the elevator to determine why it failed?
Yeah, and anytime there's a failed elevator in town, they have to have it re-inspected.
Okay.
A lot of times what'll happen is power outages and someone's stuck in the middle of an elevator between floors, and then we can go in and call in the service techs. They'll come in with us. If we need to do a rescue, we can do a rescue. If not, the service tech can release the elevator and bring it down to the floor safely, even with the power out. So,
Okay.
but yes, when something fails, it needs to be re-inspected.
So even in the event of a power outage, Would that also trigger a reinspection of the elevator, or not, and not as much? We know what the idea was.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I can't see that being part of it. It would only be if it was a mechanical failure, which we have had in the past in different places, but then that elevator be out of service until it's re-inspected.
Right, and do we know if this one was power outage or mechanical?
I could find out, but it wouldn't be in this. I'd have to go back to the call itself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Seeing no further questions, we'll be moving on to our Planning and Development Report. Mr. Fox.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is the Planning Development Report for December 2025. So planning projects, the only one listed there is the update of the town subdivision bylaw, which is a repeat from the previous month. So that's still being undertaken, still underway. So this will be an update of the plan that was last updated in 1998. Planning applications, we have 7 development agreement applications still active, one at 656 Yonge, one at 373 Roby, which is going for hearing today, 67 Inglis Place, 37 Braemar, there's one at Rexdale Ford and Marshland, one at McClure's Mills and Lower Truro Road, and another one at 423 Roby Street. We have a rezoning application request in for 7 Alice Street, and we have 3 site plan approval applications at 161 McLean, 9 McLean, and 43 Willow. Building statistics for the month of December 2024, we were at $36,601,224. For December 2025, we were at $40,242,383. I actually added some additional information in this month's report to reflect sort of a year-end situation. I gave you permit values, so there's a chart for that, and I also did residential occupancy permits issued from 2015 to 2025 to show the progress we've had in creating new residential dwelling units in town. So we had a high in 2024 of 180 units that were brought up for residential occupancy, and we had 140 added in the past year. And I should note too that we actually currently have over 300 units currently under construction in the town. So lots of new housing coming online. Bylaw enforcement activity for December 2025, we had 45 active active files, and 20 of those have been resolved, respectfully submitted.
Thank you. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Fox, for your report. I wanted to ask about the rezoning application. That's not something I've seen come across council yet in my short time here. What does that process look like? Is that something that goes before council? Does it go to public engagement? What does that look like?
It'd be a very similar process to what we do for development agreements. It'll go to Planning Advisory Committee. Planning Advisory Committee will review the application, and it'll go before council at a public hearing. It'll be subject to an appeal. Usually there's not a development application associated with a rezoning, or if there are, there's no legal way to require the developer or the applicant to adhere to that. You're just simply changing the zone. You're not actually approving a development. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very similar process to what you would see for a development agreement.
Okay. And then the question that I'm sure you know that I'm going to ask, our affordable housing framework. I know we have one. We still don't have one that is enforceable. Are we making any progress with the county on some sort of agreement on what our affordable housing and an enforceable affordable housing framework is going to look like?
And I get to give this hot potato back to
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. He wants me to answer this. Yeah, so we have had a discussion with the county. We are going to be approaching the province to have a discussion and on what assistance they're prepared to provide in order to facilitate putting a framework in place.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Pryor.
Mr. Fox, back to 7 Alice. Is that just the one property or the whole street?
That could be a discussion at Planning Advisory. It's unusual to do a spot rezoning, so picking one property and changing its zoning without consideration of all the other properties on the same block is a bit unusual. There's going to be more discussion about this at Planning Advisory because it is an unusual request for rezoning, especially since the plan is relatively new. Usually it's the sort of thing you would see after several years of a plan being in place and there's been some change in the neighborhood that warrants a change in zoning. So we'll have I expect we'll have a larger discussion about about this particular application, and it may actually end up, there is an option to proceed with this by development agreement, and that may end up being how it's handled. So I would wait it'll be at Planning Advisory for more details.
Great, thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to comment on this, and Mr. Fox, you can say whether I'm right or not, but that graph 3, with the residential occupancy permit issued since 2015, you know, when I add those numbers up, you know, from involving 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025, what I get is near 500 permits being issued during those years, and then another 300 that are under construction. So we're looking at 800 units, which is considerable, right? Considerable.
Yeah,
So,
I believe there's 8,000 or so units in the global universe in Truro, so that's how many dwelling units we have that are apartments in, I believe it's, actually, that might be the whole town, sorry, that might be all dwelling units in town, so that's a considerable increase.
Yeah, it's like a
percentage-wise.
10% increase or
Yeah.
whatever, right? In just 4 years. Yeah. Yeah. Quite amazing, you know, how much development has been taking place in the last 4 years. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Our next report is our Truro Police Service report by Chief Dave McNeil.
Thanks, Mayor Hinton. Report for December is as follows. We had 43 traffic collisions for the month. We issued 144 summary offense tickets for Motor Vehicle Act violations, conducted 21 road safety check stops, had 18 noise or bylaw type complaints, 1 impaired driving investigation, 1 drug investigation, 121 liquor control act or trespass act files, 66 mental health and well-being checks and calls, 24 court order violations, 13 crimes against a person, 11 assault files, 29 thefts, 8 property damage or disturbance calls, 2 break-and-enters, 2 frauds, 47 suspicious calls for suspicious vehicles or persons, 35 alarms, and 119 general assistance calls for a total of 706 calls for the month of December, 131 resulting in charges. Parking tickets issued for the month were 197, overwhelmingly winter ban parking because that's on now, and there were 7 speeding offenses for the month respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Chief. Councillor McGrath.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Chief, for your report. As always, I mean, you already called out the high number of winter parking ban tickets that were issued, definitely the majority there. The total traffic collisions is up significantly as well. Is that also because of winter driving conditions and the many storms that we had during December?
Yeah, as you can appreciate, there's been a lot of weather events in December, and that causes collisions for sure.
Yeah,
Coupled with the increase in traffic for the Christmas season with shoppers and things. So
Yeah,
lots
there
of
was-
things go into it, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there were a lot of storms. I mean, I'm always concerned about the number of collisions. I call out repeatedly that when we, have like a 1-a-day average of collisions and, wanting to look at road redesign to see if there are things that we can do more safely. I don't know that there's a whole lot that we can do around the winter storms that hammered us again and again and again in December. But I just wanted to highlight, just to confirm that is, that is the reasoning for that increase.
Anecdotally, I would say yes, without a deep dive into the causes, but yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next report will be by our Director, Oliver Browning, for Public Works.
Thank you, Mary Hinton. I trust each and every one of you the opportunity to read through my report. I'll give you the monthly highlights. So construction on Cobequid Drive by Dexter Construction has been paused for the season in December just due to the weather. Now all of a sudden we're into winter time. So replacement of the sections of the sanitary sewer that was completed. Portions of the new concrete curb along Cobequid Drive, as well as the first of the 2 asphalt street surfacing lifts have been placed. So this is where the project's been paused. This will be picked back up in the spring, which will include the construction of the remaining new curb, as well as finishing street paving. As an update, the work associated with the infilling of the ponds awarded to Dexter Construction Company Limited continued in December once the ground on the site stiffened up from initial frost penetration. The work will progress through early winter and looks to be able to be completed in a timely manner. Fine grading and finished landscaping is planned to be completed in the spring. Design and construction work on the new rail yard pump track by the Canadian Ramp Company was substantially completed in December. Finished landscaping of the site as well as asphalt line painting will be completed this spring. The water crew responded to and effectively repaired 6 water main line breaks and water service leaks during the month of December. Crews also completed 2 sanitary sewer lateral renewals, repairs to various manholes, catch basins, and valve covers around town, as well as completed fall storm sewer system flushing during the month of December. Transportation Services crews completed fleet conversion to snow removal operations in preparation for winter season in December and have begun the department's snow and ice operations, as you've been witnessing. Work to progress the town's asset management program continues when time is permitted in December while compiling data of the town's sanitary sewer and storm sewer systems are continuing. Condition rating assessments and subsequent risk and priority rankings of the town's street network were updated in early December for streets that were previously rated as fair or poor condition. This updated information will be used for capital planning for this coming fiscal year. Department staff are excited for our new fleet supervisor and head mechanic appointments. Mr. Mike Custance assumed the full-time role of fleet supervisor, and Mr. Tony Lowe has assumed the full-time role of head mechanic in December. Department staff completed condition rating and expected useful life assessments on the department's fleet inventory in December as well. The results of these assessments, again, will be used for capital planning for this coming year as well as future years to come. Report the town's water treatment plant system continues to operate as intended. Water levels, this is exciting, within the town's reservoir fortunately returned to normal levels in December due to the extent of the precipitation experienced in the months of November and December. So department staff continue to monitor water levels in the reservoir continuously. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much. Councillor McGrath, you have a question.
Several questions. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Browning, for your report. You mentioned the water levels. Does this mean that our voluntary restrictions are now lifted?
We probably should, shouldn't we, hey?
It seems like it would be wise. I mean, I know we often say we should follow the town socials, and I certainly follow them closely, but I was afraid that maybe I had missed something. But if we haven't lifted those restrictions, with the amount of water coming down over the sluice gate, maybe it would be wise to do so.
As a formality, we certainly can. I mean, right now, it's, we basically didn't get the reading until, or the confirmation that we're back up to normal levels till after a Santa Claus game, so.
With regard to the levels, some time ago, your predecessor had advised that we were no longer using the stop logs. After the drought sort of situation and the low levels we experienced in 2025, do we foresee a reinstatement of the stop logs in order to raise the levels again?
We put half of them back in.
Okay, we've already put half of them back in.
Yeah, and I think that's the expectation is that's probably what we're going to maintain, at least for this coming spring, summer, just to see. Don't think it's necessary to put them all in up to the top level or whatever, but I don't know really if we want to go and not put them in at all.
Is there a major risk to not, or is there a risk to putting them up to full restoration of the full stop logs? Is there, like, I guess what I'm trying to get at, why did we remove them? Why would we not bring them back up?
When you have them all up, or if you're blocking more water, so more height or whatever, so if those fail or whatever, then things are going to come down. So it's not a significant risk, but it's a failure. If it's not needed, why do it?
Right, okay. With regards to still on water, I know I had mentioned some time ago about trying to work on some sort of partnership with local community groups about a rain barrel initiative or something. I imagine I might have been looped out of the emails, and that's fine. I don't need to be there, but I'm wondering if there was any update on that. Did we have any success in initiating something like that?
Oh, was you?
So we've reached back out to Living Earth Council a couple of times on some funding opportunities. The most recent one, the one that you passed along the other day. So they're not quite ready to proceed yet, but we're just kind of waiting direction from them or an update from them.
Okay, hopefully we can get something there, because I think that would be beneficial for many residents of the town. Finally, we mentioned the significant number of water main breaks that were being dealt with. how is that informing our asset management and our risk mitigation? I mean, I know you'd mentioned before when we're doing our asset management and we see these breaks, if we see a lot of breaks in one area, suggests that maybe we need to focus our resources there. Were these all in one area? Is that helping us direct?
Well, something like this always helps because it always points to a potential concern. Largely when we see them this time of year, I mean, since 1st of December, essentially, I think every week or whatever we've had spring twice and then back to winter. And so that's certainly, as you see, not very favorable to our streets, but also as frost starts coming in and out of the ground and the ground starts loosening, it doesn't do our water system any favors either, unfortunately. So that we take that with a grain of salt around this time of year. But with that being said, if we are seeing something of a pattern or whatever every year, every couple of years within a particular area, we do hone in on that and say, all right, well, let's take a look at the material and the age of the pipe itself, and we may adjust the condition rating and then subsequent risk priority rating accordingly.
Okay, and so when these water breaks happen, we are doing sort of an investigation on the equipment. How old who do we think this is, et cetera?
Oh, we have information. So what we have tabulated, just as a sneak preview or whatever, we'll hopefully get you something when we have time during committee of the whole meetings or whatever to fit it in. No, what we have, just so you're aware, so what we have compiled and what we compile for data and information on these different systems, whether it's the water system, sanitary, or storm, for example, of pipe systems, we have age, we have material, we have size, i.e. diameter, each length, say, between manholes or valves is tabulated. All of this stuff, and then subsequently from that, with information that we do have, condition rating is tagged to it, probability of failure is evaluated and tagged to it, consequence of failure is tagged to it, and then between those gets us risk/prioritization rankings. So we keep this data all within ArcGIS. So it's a GIS model, so it's actually tagged to like a physical line.
Right.
Then export it out and put through some black magic in a Excel spreadsheet to further compile these types of things of, say, percentage of what is what is in good condition versus not, total lengths, any evaluation of opinion of value or whatever of any kind of the different levels of risk/priority for your guys' information and for ours to use. So just for some perspective, when I speak about this type of stuff, like this is the type of data that we compile and where we store it.
Perfect. Thank you for that information.
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Graham?
Two very quick questions, and they pertain specifically to the interest of residents in Ward 1. One is the traffic study that I believe has commenced or maybe concluded at McClure's Mills and Lower Truro, if you have an update on that. And the second question is regarding parking on Longworth. There was a request for consideration that parking only be on the sidewalk side of Longworth, and I'm wondering how we're progressing on that request.
Thank you. So for the first one, McClure's Mills, James Street, Lower Truro Road traffic study. So we've completed obtaining the traffic data at intersections ourselves. We're just going to, the next step is going to go analyze it, see what it looks like. What we've been waiting for is we've tasked the traffic engineering firm that the developer has retained to, as part of their traffic study, include their take on any recommendations of the intersections there in that area to improve, because obviously we're going to add traffic volume. So we'd like their take on that, so to compare to ours. So we have two different sets of eyes and two different opinions or whatever to go and take a look and see what we can do moving forward. So that's still in the works. So we have our traffic data. Now for Longworth. So Traffic Authority and myself have been having discussions about this particular area. Now, I think either he or I, or whatever I mentioned before, typically speaking, we don't put traffic restrictions on local streets. We will tend to put them more on arterials and collectors, just based on traffic volumes and safety. With that being said, we're currently reviewing our bylaws, and specifically for us or whatever that pertains to this is the streets bylaw that we have. And what we're looking at, some framework and some language to put in it, or standards, I guess, to put in it, that speak to like sightline distances and where it would apply to, should there be parking along the sides of the streets, maintaining sight lines at driveways to be able to enter and exit. Just the same as at intersections, being backed away, further away from intersections, just to be allowed sight line. But then to parking, as far as restrictions, the fear that we have, I don't know what we would, I'm not sure how much we're going to gain. Because if we go put restrictions along one side of Longworth, that'll just spill it back over to, likely to the other side of Longworth.
Is that a rhetorical question?
Well, it's just you just kind of get chasing it, right? And I don't know how much gain we would get, if you know what I mean. Now, it's not that we're not, still kind of looking at options to see how we could handle it. But basically, it can just be, if there is going to be, some increased parking or whatever along a local street, and we put restrictions on one side that one side may want, it'll spill over to the other side. Then what about the other side of the street? If they want the restrictions, we shouldn't really be blocking it, the whole thing, because then it just spill over to a next street, right?
Well, I think the residents on Longworth would have some feedback on
Oh,
that, but.
most definitely. Now, I will say, or for our traffic authority, and can speak to it this evening in a little bit further detail. He will be attending, not I, for this, because he's been attending the PAC. He's more familiar with the specific development this evening at the public hearing. And I'm sure there's probably going to be some questions or whatever pertaining to that.
I'm not sure that the parking issue is directly related to the potential new development. I think it's a issue regardless of the development.
Okay.
But that's okay. Thank you for your response.
Yep, as we continue to progress or whatever, because there's going to be some things that I will say we've been looking at. If we're going to put some street side restrictions, what we've been kind of eyeing is, what does that look like? Will we just look at it as arterial and collector streets, and that's it, and then just leave local streets alone, or do we go a little further? We just, in order to go and put something in place, we need something of standard so we can apply it consistently, and that's a challenge to do, because it's like local streets have their own different circumstances depending what part of town you're at as far as density and that type of thing. So.
Okay, thank you. Our final committee report is from our Director Ashley Sims for Parks, Recreation and Culture.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. General maintenance continues through downtown parks, fields, and trails. We'd like to remind the public to prepare for winter conditions, including icy trails. Preparations are underway at Civic Square for the installation of the Caldwell Roach Heartland ice surface. Unfortunately, weather has delayed the opening, but we expect to be operational this month, and more specifically, hopefully by the end of the week. Once open, users are reminded that this is an unsupervised, shared space accommodating individuals of all skill levels. Please be considerate of others and follow the posted rules, including no pucks and hockey sticks. The ice surface can be viewed online via the Nova Scotia Webcams website. We are once again partnering with Colchester East Hants Library for the skate lending program, allowing residents to borrow skates using a library card. Lending hours are Tuesday and Wednesday, 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Friday, 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Town of Truro tree inventory is ongoing, and the 2026 street tree planting program is currently reviewing applications. Ongoing vegetation management continues throughout Victoria Park and the rail yard to maintain a 14-foot overhead clearance on park roads and an 8-foot clearance on multi-use trails. The Hemlock Woolly Adelgid work plan is ongoing with treatments to resume in the spring, and the town arborist will attend the Atlantic Canada Forest Health Workshop this month. The New Year's Eve on the Town event was a great success this year. It featured 2 free swimming sessions and a public skate at the Rath East Link Community Center, 2 fully attended children's events at the Cougar Dome, a 2-hour public skate at the Colchester Legion Stadium, and then we finished the evening off with a celebration of fireworks at 7:30 p.m. Our ongoing community drop-in programs remain popular. With a full list of the programs, you can visit the town's website. And plans for the Truro Winter Long John Festival are well underway. The Winter Equipment Loan Program offering cross-country skis and snowshoes will be ready as the snow season begins. Throughout December, the town of Truro made an effort to recognize and celebrate important dates within the community. These include Human Rights Week and multiple holidays. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank you and Megan for being very accommodating to a very sick mayor on New Year's Eve, so thank you very much when I gave my mayor's New Year's wish. Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Sims, for your report as always. A couple of questions. We mentioned the playground at the No. 2 Construction Battalion Athletic Facility. Are we going to have accessible playground equipment at this playground?
Yes.
Excellent. And then still on that facility, I see that the public use, 239 hours in October, 214 hours in November, significant usage. Is that actual usage, or is it just usage that staff were there and people could use it?
When staff could use it, but we have been monitoring numbers, and usually there's at least 1 or 2 people that are always there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
I asked this because I get asked about it, the concession stand at the stadium. How are things progressing in that regard?
We have gone to tender and have received quotes back, and we're currently reviewing that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Fleming? Oh,
Councillor Thomas stole my question.
oh, okay.
Thank you. Good job.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further questions, I now call for a motion to accept all the committee reports. Councillor McGrath, Councillor Talbot seconded. All those in favor of accepting all the reports for today signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, thank you so much. We're moving on to questions by members. Councillor, do we have any questions by members today? Councillor McGrath?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to follow up once again on the crossing / not a crossing of the CN rail behind the Truro Center Mall. We've discussed this a number of times. I've requested a number of times that we have meetings with our MP, with Transport Canada, with CN, with VIA, with all of the affected stakeholders on some sort of, on addressing the loss of this critical piece of infrastructure in our town. A number of people use this regularly. And the problem, of course, is when you remove a safe option that is convenient, people will start using the unsafe option. And I've got able-bodied constituents who have, very fit, who have done the timing of straight across versus around. It adds an extra 8 minutes for somebody who is fit, let alone somebody who is pushing a stroller or a shopping cart. And I would like to know where we are with some sort of meeting to address trying to replace that infrastructure.
We are we are waiting on CN. CN said they'd come back with something for us and outline options and relative costs, I believe. So we haven't heard back from CN since we talked to them in November, I believe. So in the November timeframe, we can follow up with them on that to see if they are working on something.
Okay, that would be appreciated. And then my next question is around the budget considerations. So it's been mentioned that the budget is starting to be worked on, and I've probably alluded to a lot of this in my earlier questions around each of the reports. But something that I would like to see, and I will just throw it out there as suggestion for now, but if we want to make a motion for council to vote, we can do that as well. Just to be able to actually see things in the budget that we may not actually, that may not actually materialize, but at least give council the chance to deliberate. Things like a public washroom, accessibility, like the accessible playground equipment around our sidewalks and buildings, ensuring that there are, the accessibility buttons added to the washrooms at the Truro Fire Hall's community room. The active transit, I mentioned earlier about public transit, we're hoping to see that come at the February Committee of the Whole and come to Council in March. Are we earmarking money aside for public transit? To Councillor Graham's point earlier about the parking on Longworth, I've mentioned this a number of times before. Something that could probably be done in conjunction with the active transportation plan is narrowing streets and eliminating on-street parking. I mean, this winter parking ban effectively eliminates parking on street for a third of the year. It could make a lot of lives easier if we just narrowed the roads either with actual concrete and giving property back to property owners there, or adding active transit lanes that would effectively narrow the roads, help address speeding, and eliminate the constant complaints about the on-street parking. These are the things I would like to see, Mr. Dolter, be brought into budget deliberations coming forward so the council can really dive in, do some active deliberations on where we want to see this town going.
As far as, I mean, there's some areas that we are looking at, active transportation, we're looking at some items for in that vein. The challenge we have that, and I understand what you're saying, but it's challenging to speculate on projects and then assign dollar values to them. Because again, with staff are very reluctant to assign a dollar value without doing a lot of research and base it on something accurate. And again, to anticipate what council might want. We certainly do want to discuss, based on where we are, you know, the strategic plan and some of the ideas that council wants to bring forward, and we can discuss that at budget time. Certainly we will, like I said, active transportation we're already talking about. We probably will look at potentially some projects that we'll bring forward to council and can discuss whether or not those are the right ones. But we'll, yeah, we probably won't bring costed projects forward, but we will probably talk to council about what they would like to include. And the one thing I guess I will say is that if there is something that council has in mind, it may take, you know, if we're really going to move forward with it, it's probably going to take more than the fiscal year to do the planning and everything else that's going to be required to do that. But you know, we can have those discussions. You know, similarly, you know, the public washroom debate and those, you know, we know the relative price of something like that. And again, we can have that discussion based on the other priorities that are there.
Okay, because it's, you know, we're coming up on 3 years since the active transportation plan was adopted. And I've brought up before about the regional accessibility plan. I don't want to see all these plans adopted and then us just ignore them and not do them, because otherwise what is the point in adopting these plans and to start with? And I believe council has, you know, provided support for public washrooms in the past, but it's never been brought up into a budget. And I'm trying to just make sure that well, I guess you, sir, are listening to council's wishes and bringing that to see.
Well, and just on the public washroom issue, I don't think I've got any direction from council to budget or to look at public washrooms. So that's certainly a discussion we can have at budget time on that, and certainly have some information on that as well.
And if I may provide a small update based on the topic of active transportation. The Connect 2 funding program the province maintains came knocking at the door before Christmas, opening up a submission for expression of interest. Usually when they do that, they want to go and like take a tally of like, does anybody have any prepared projects, or where are they at with things, and what money are they looking for? Yeah, so just the first week back or whatever, they're from the Christmas season or whatever, we submitted expression of interest to that, just to keep the door open or whatever for that funding program. What it's going to look like, for how much money we end up getting, yet to be seen. Or just keep the door open for that, for consideration. So that might roll out or whatever. We might get more information on that as we're leading into or working through our fiscal budget.
Excellent. I mean, I'd love to see active transportation moving forward again. It's been 3 years since the plan was adopted, and obviously, if we can use grant money as opposed to taxpayer money, I'm all for spending, you know, that instead of ours.
And just so that you're aware, whatever the specifics for it was not, unfortunately, wasn't covering construction, but we can cover engineering and design, which is what we got to do first anyway.
Well, and especially
for specifics.
As a bit of an aside, I guess, I know we recently paved a section of Prince Street from, I think it was from Commercial to Arlington, or maybe it was Willow and Elm to Arlington.
Willow to Arlington.
Willow to Arlington.
Yeah.
I know that the active transportation plan did call for a revamp of the one-way section of Prince Street to reduce to one lane, I believe, is what was put in the Harborside Engineering implementation plan. Are we considering that as well when we are doing our repaving projects to make sure that we're not tearing things up that have just been done?
When I say this, I mean a lot of this is going to be dependent on outside funding, because each of the, I think what they call the phasing or whatever was like short-term, medium-term, long-term. I think they split everything out into 4 phases. Each phase estimated to be in the order of approximately $5 million. So that's something that's not going to be, that's not chump change that we're just going to come up with overnight as it stands right now. So we're going to need funding opportunities to be able to implement it. Not to mention, even if those do present themselves, just typically speaking is what they look like, you know, we'd be looking at coming up with ourselves $1.5 to $2 million out of our own pocket to put towards it. So it's a significant consideration within budget deliberations. Not to say that it's not going to be done, but realistically speaking, we're probably, you know, 2 or 3 years out before considering when those things are going to be pieced together for actual physical construction. So by that time, we'll have to put some more attention to these streets anyway.
And I don't think anybody's suggesting that any of this gets done overnight. Obviously, all of this takes time, but it's why we need to be looking at our long-term planning. And again, when things have been adopted 3 years ago, when the entire plan was predicated on, we'll do it piecemeal as we are doing other streets, but I'm not really seeing that play out. Maybe it's because I lack the vision or I'm lacking some of the information, but it doesn't seem like that's happening yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, and Prince is an interesting case because again, there's going to be a lot of discussion on that, and I think there's a whole public engagement requirement there on changing that street and the impact it's going to have on business and everything else. So I think it's one that I think seems on the surface like an easy option, but the amount of business and activity that goes on the street, we've got to figure out what is the right thing to do, and so that's probably not a great example, but we are talking about some options we have, and that's why expression of interest was put in on the other funding, and hopefully we'll be able to move it.
Well, in the big picture as well, as we've discussed before, I mean, this comes hand in hand or whatever with our asset management planning as well. Because again, or whatever, when you speak to, when we come to a street or whatever that needs to be paved, or what else has to be done with it. And that includes, do we need to address the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, water system underground? Should we be looking at the sidewalk and curbing or whatever infrastructure on it? Then on top, you know, then what comes along with that as well is the active transportation. This is part of the network. How do we incorporate that in with what we already need to be doing with that? So it's all part and parcel and all part of the grand master plan.
Well, I think with regard to Prince Street downtown too, it's a lot around safety because vehicle bloat is a real thing. Vehicles have gotten larger, wider, taller. It is now much more difficult to safely operate 2 lanes downtown if there are vehicles parked on both sides of the street. And again, we mentioned earlier about daylighting as well, some of the intersections with that vehicle bloat, even some of the existing neck downs don't seem to be addressing things properly. With that, I'll end it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, simple question, the natural Christmas tree pickup, can someone just highlight when that's going to happen? Does someone know when that's happening? It's happening this week, but can you just make a public announcement?
I believe there was something posted on the website.
Is this the week of the 12th?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
it's
just this week, so get your tree out this week somehow.
If it's not this week, it's next week. I'm trying to think of when. Remind me when the regular year, like it's usually January, and I can't remember if it's the first week of January or second, but we extended it 1 week this year just based on
It is
our-
on social media. We'll make sure that gets reposted.
Yeah, just make sure it gets posted because, you know, when you stick your tree out there and then it rains or whatever, and then it freezes, your tree gets stuck to the ground and nobody's moving that thing. So, you know, right, timing is important as to when that tree goes out. So, yeah, if we could get that out there, I think that would be helpful to people. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we did have that posted before. How about we do a repost just because if it's current now, then great. And if it's next week, everybody should know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Deputy. Item 8A, request for decision, set public hearing date for 67 Inglis Place. Mr. Dolter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So development agreement application for Factory 58 Holdings Incorporated to permit a 5-story multi-unit residential development consisting of 35 dwelling units and 525 square meters of commercial space at 57 Inglis Place has been received and reviewed. So proposed motions be resolved. The council set a public hearing date for February 2nd, 2026 to consider entering into a development agreement with Factory 58 Holdings Incorporated to permit a 5-story multi-unit residential development consisting of 35 dwelling units and 525 square meters of commercial space at 57 English Street, and that is PID number 201-95442.
Thank you. I'm going to require a motion. Motion from Councillor Talbot, second, or Councillor Graham? Discussion. Seeing none? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Contrary, unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Item 8B, request for decision, water utility capital reallocation. Mr. Dolter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this involves a eyewash shower stations at the water treatment plant that need replacing. So an annual inspection of the emergency eyewash shower stations at the water treatment was recently completed. All but 2 eyewash water shower stations passed inspection. Upon investigation and according to occupational health and safety regulations, neither comply with current valving regulations. One is more than 25 years old and the other is 20 years old. They are both located outside the bulk chemical storage and dosing stations where exposure to harmful chemicals is highly possible, and both have been used for that reason prior. Replacement of these 2 stations along with the plumbing and valving are required. This is considered a capital expense and has not been budgeted for the current fiscal year budget for the water utility. This request is to approve the reallocation of $60,000 from the current $200,000 for the AMI towers digital meter reading budget item to fund this capital work. It is not anticipated that work associated with the AMI towers digital meter reading budget item will be executed this year and is planned to be carried over to the next fiscal year and topping this budget back up to $200,000. So essentially, we're borrowing from this project. So the proposed motion is be it resolved the council approve the reallocation of capital funding from the AMI towers digital meter reading budget item in the amount of $60,000 to fund the replacement of 2 eyewash shower stations and associated plumbing work at the water treatment plant.
Thank you very much. Looking for a mover? So moved. Okay, Councillor McGrath, Councillor Fleming. Discussion. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I don't know. I know nothing about eyewash or shower stations, but $60,000 for 2 seems like, wow, maybe I should go in that business. Is just this, like, are we just making sure that there's enough there so that when, we get a bid on the work, et cetera, that, it's going to be covered? Or, because that seems like a lot of money for 2 showers and an eyewash station, $60,000.
Well,
can we just someone help me with that?
Mr. Browning?
So generally speaking, with some of the issues of these, we're talking about the actual plumbing as well. So there's one actually that there's corrosion within the actual water pipes itself leading up through it for an eyewash station spitting out brown water.
Oh, well, that's not good.
That's kind of one example of some of the issues. So it is like, it's a pretty much, and these ones here, because of the nature of where they're located and what they're washing you off of,
right.
They're a little more higher end or whatever than what you would see just in another lower end kind of industrial setting.
Okay.
So
it just seems like a lot,
Yeah, again, it's to ensure that we have budget enough again, and then the work will have to be tendered out as well. So again, we'll see where the pricing comes in.
Just to point out, as far as perspective of pricing, I understand that over at the Dal AC campus, the Cox building, the labs there, they spent $1 million. Now there was more than 2, but yeah. So we should go into the business of eyewash and shower stations.
Yes, lucrative. Okay, so the motion has been made, it's been made by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Fleming. Councillor, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, motion is carried. I'm now going to adjourn our public council meeting until this evening, which should be Monday, January 12th to 26th, where we'll reconvene at 6 p.m. Following this meeting, we'll take a brief 5-minute recess, and then we're going to go in camera. So we are now adjourned at 3:33 p.m. Thank you, council.